Okay. Oh my god, we're having so many problems today. It feels so weird to film. I've not filmed anything for like a year and a half, and excuse me if I jumble my words, if I stutter, if I say too much, because I'm just not used to filming at all. Hi, my name's Hadi Jatu and I'm 27. I made a video called Being 26 and Living at Home. In that video I talked about how I wasn't happy living at home, I really wanted my own space. Also, I did go to university when I graduated when I was 22. And I hadn't found myself a graduate job. Also, I wasn't driving. So there was the three things that I talked about. I also made a video when I was 25 and I talked about similar things and where I was at that stage then. So if you're 25, 26, then maybe watch those videos. I just wanted to say thank you to anyone that has watched them and commented on them and subscribed, because I really do appreciate it. It's really nice to know that some people have resonated with the videos that I've done. So I really wanted to make an update video of where I am now. I'm a little bit embarrassed to film this video because not that much has changed, even though a lot has happened since then. So yeah. I'm struggling to speak properly, so please bear with me if it's a bit choppy. I just find it quite hard to speak about myself for an extended period of time, and that's kind of why I want to do these videos, just to help me speak, as well as, you know, obviously find community and have somewhere to come where I can relate to people like you that might be watching. So I've talked about living at home still with my mum. I was in a relationship, so quite frustrated with us not having our own space and really wanting to move out with him at that time. We really wanted to get a mortgage, but that actually didn't end up happening. But what did happen was we did move out together in May of last year, so 2021, and we moved into a lovely little 3-bedroom house. But sadly the relationship ended, so I ended up moving home just 6 months later in December of 2021. So in that video I also spoke about working in customer service in Bradford, which I had to commute to every day, and that took like 3 hours out of my day going there and back. I really was fed up with that, really frustrated with it, and also just frustrated with the job that I was in. The day that I finished at my old job was the day that me and my ex-boyfriend actually split up, so that was in November. We were together for 3 years and we broke up just before like a month before our 3-year anniversary it would have been. So it was really sad, it was really hard to do, and especially that we'd literally just moved in together and then, you know, the relationship ended, so that was really difficult. And then a week later I was going to start at this new job, which was like 10 minutes down the road. So that was really hard, trying to navigate a new role, knowing that I'd just broken up with my boyfriend and I've got to move back home and not knowing what I'm going to do in my life, sort of thing. So that was quite difficult. It was my birthday in November and I turned 27. So yeah, it was a crazy time. So I moved home. Obviously when I moved out, my mum rightfully assumed that I wasn't going to come back home again, because I said that to her. I really didn't think that me and my partner were going to break up. I thought that this is it now, I've moved out, I've got my partner, and you know. So of course my mum had made some changes to my room. She'd like redecorated it a little bit and it just didn't really feel like my room as much anymore. So I've spent most of this year really trying to like do little bits here and there to my room to bring it back to me and like how I would like it to be. I'm sure it was a little bit hard for my mum having me back. I'd moved home a few times by this point, so I think she was just used to it. And I'm really grateful that I can just like come home if I ever need to, and that there's a space for me here. You know, hopefully next time I move out it will actually be the last time that I come back home, but you know, you never know what will happen. Also, I did want to say at this point, because I did have a comment on, I think my Being 25 video, where someone said that I was selfish for still living at home. And I'm presuming they said that because they assume that I'm not paying any rent or anything, and that's just not the case at all. So since I've been 18, I've either had a job or been on job seekers allowance or been a student. So whenever I've lived at home, I've always paid my mum something towards the rent and food. I'm paying like a third of the rent, a third of the bills, and I do my own food shop. So I'm definitely not just scrounging off of my mum and living here rent free. That's, like I said, that's never been the case. We're not, you know, a wealthy family, so it's not the case that my mum can afford to pay for literally everything for me, and I would never expect her to do that. So I just wanted to say that in case anyone thinks that I am just sort of scrounged on. So this new job that I got was in customer service again, and this time it was in retail rather than finance, which was what my last job was. And strangely I found that a lot more stressful because it was a really like family environment. So it was a small team, a lot of people had worked there for a long time, and I just didn't like that setup. Like, it was too personal, maybe, I don't know if that's the word. Yeah, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it there. And my mum had told me about a job which was an art gallery, and I applied for that job, had the interview, thought that I was shit in the interview, didn't think that I was going to get it, and then I had a call the same day saying that I had got that job, so I was over the moon. Now, this job in the art gallery is only 4 days a week and it's 23 hours per week, so going into it I knew that I was going to have a wage cut, and to be honest with you, I was so sick of doing what I had been doing in customer service that I just really wanted this change, and I knew it was going to suit me a lot better than what I had been doing. Like, my soul was literally just fucking depleted from working in customer service. It was awful. I wouldn't recommend anyone to work in customer service unless, like, you've got the gift of the gab and you really don't mind talking to people all day and, like, exerting your energy in that way. But for me, like, I'm such an introvert. Don't want to talk to anyone on a good day. Well, no, that's not true. But do you know what I mean? It just, to have people, like, shouting at you, being stressed, you've got to, like, go through all of these talking points and make sure that you hit them all, otherwise you're going to fail the call. It was just a lot. So I was so grateful to get this new job. It's a 20-minute walk from my house, which is amazing. So yeah, it's just, I'm so much happier with this job. I've only been there for 3 months. I'm still getting into a routine even after being there for 3 months. Don't judge me. With this new job and with me having this wage cut, it has been a little bit more difficult to save. I'm still managing to save little bits every month, which is great, so that I can build my savings back up, because when I moved out, literally they all went. And it was quite like a nice sum of savings, so yeah, we're working ourselves back up to a good point. So yeah, obviously one of the perks of living at home is that my mum can decide how much I need to give, and obviously it's enough for me to contribute, but it's not as much as it would be if I was living on my own, so that is a big benefit. I'm grateful that I can save that little bit still, so that's lovely. So I've got a lovely little job now that I'm really happy with, and that suits me a lot more. I suppose it's not in the textile industry, but it's in the creative industry, and I'm absolutely happy with that. I'm like getting closer and closer to where I want to be, which is lovely. The fact that I'm still living at home, for me, that is what it is at this point. I'm not upset about it, I'm not frustrated with it. Don't get me wrong, there are still some times, and it depends where I am in my cycle, I'm not gonna lie. But like, realistically, I wouldn't be able to live on my own and have a good standard of life, especially with me only working 23 hours now. Like, I'd be able to pay my rent and my bills and food, but I wouldn't be able to save anything. I probably wouldn't be able to spend much on socialising and doing the things I want to do. So, you know, me sometimes being a little bit frustrated at home and living with like a really close family member does not compare to the life that I probably would have if I had to live on my own and struggle. I really don't see the point in struggling when I'm quite happy living here with my mum. I can, you know, help her around the house. She's getting older, she can't do the same things that she used to do. Well, some of them anyway. You know, my mum is a single parent and she always has been. So I'm at an age now where I can understand and accept that my mum needs help around the house, and I'm happy to do that. I'm really happy to make dinner and to clean and to fix things that might be broken. I think my mum was just trying to listen. Yeah, so there'll be no point in, at this stage in my life where I am, in me moving out, struggling, and also, you know, my mum being here and struggling. It makes sense for us to live together and to share resources while I still can because I don't know where I am going to go in life and if I might move potentially. So I really don't think there should be any judgment in people living at home at this age. But yeah, like I get it, of course we all would want to have our own space and make it look beautiful and aesthetic and how we want it to look. I mean, at least that's what I would want to do. But for the moment in time, it's absolutely fine. Okay, so let's go on to driving and give you a little bit of a driving update. At this point, I had stopped doing driving lessons because my driving instructor that I had in 2020, he had just stopped doing any lessons. He stopped being an instructor. And we were in and out of lockdowns and things, and I just stopped. I just stopped looking for anyone else. I started taking lessons again last October, and luckily my driving instructor came back to work just as I started to feel ready to take lessons again. I had booked a driving test for November of last year, and I ended up taking lessons again in October. So really I hadn't given myself enough time to get back into the swing of things, and I just didn't feel ready for my driving test that was booked in November. I ended up rescheduling my driving test for March of 2022. I was taking lessons with my instructor every week. Everything was going absolutely fine until 5 weeks before my test was due. My driving instructor decided to relocate to the Cotswolds. So yeah, I was so upset. Like, it was so close to my test date, and at that time I knew how hard it was to get driving instructors because literally everyone wanted to take the tests again. So I did try to find another instructor once I found out that he was going to be moving, and it was like sort of like an immediate move. It wasn't going to take like a month or whatever, so he would have known that he was going to move before he told us all, but had left it to that point. Also, he said that he was going to give me some details of some driving instructors that he knew but he never did, and I just found it impossible to find another instructor, so I ended up having to cancel my driving test and reschedule it again. But the next available date for a driving test wasn't until December of this year. So I just been so unlucky with my driving, it's unreal. We're now obviously in October of 2022. I have been in contact recently with some more driving instructors, but for some reason people don't want to get back to me, and it's really frustrating, and I don't know why. And I'm going to be honest, because I can walk to work, I don't actually feel like it's all that necessary for me to be driving at this moment. I recently, like literally just the other day, decided to reschedule my driving test again, and I've pushed it back until March of next year, which was actually like the next available dates were in March of 2023. So that's what I've done. So I will start to look to take lessons again at the end of this year, or even the end of November, just so I can get like settled and secure with the driving instructors, and hopefully, fingers crossed, can pass my test. Obviously I'm hoping for a first time pass, but we'll see what happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, but you know, it is what it is. I still very much want to drive. I still think about driving quite a lot. I still have dreams about it. It's definitely something that I know would give me a lot of independence and freedom, and I wouldn't have to worry about like doing a big food shop and taking it home on the bus. I can just drive in my car and go get my food. Anyway, so that's that on the driving front. And then just speaking about like working on myself, basically what it comes down to is me building up healthy and good habits. I spoke about this in my Being 25 video, and I spoke about sort of not wanting to carry on living the way that I was in terms of how I treat myself. Basically, I'm still in the same position with that. Like, I thought moving out would inspire me to be more creative. That didn't happen. Then I thought having a job that was closer to home would give me more time and energy to do things that I wanted to, like after work. That never happened. Now that I'm working 4 days a week, obviously I've got an extra day to myself where I didn't have before, where I could be productive and get loads done. I haven't utilised that just yet, and it's embarrassing to say, but it is the truth. Like, exercise, I don't do any exercise still. I do incorporate yoga like every other day, I'd say, probably now. That's been good. I'm slowly like building a morning and a night routine for myself, and I can feel the progress in that, so that's amazing. So I'm just quite happy with like working on myself and processing my emotions, which I realise I never do, which is most of the reason why I hold myself back in certain aspects of my life. But it's just a work in progress. Like, life is hard. I feel like we're making it harder for ourselves by putting ourselves down because we're not where society says we should be in life, which is just completely made up anyway. And we live in a consumerism world. Like, everything that we see in the media or the societal expectations that we see in day-to-day life and that we expect people to have at a certain age, it's all just made and marketed for other people's gain. So I just really think like your life is what you make it, and you can choose to make the most of it or not. You need to try and be happy now in the moment and realise that you can be happy even without the things that you want in life that you feel will make you happier, because like I've said earlier, when I moved out, when I got a different job, I was still sort of doing the same things, feeling the same ways that I was before, that weren't conducive to like a joyful, peaceful, happy life. I'll leave some videos down below of content creators that have helped me, podcasters, coaches, and it's been really slow. Like, I'm not saying that I'm at this point where I am just like happy every day, because that's certainly not the case, but I am, you know, becoming just more content with life. And also I just want to like share that I am very grateful and I feel very privileged to be able to sit and do this video and like have a roof over my head and have a good standard of life. There were a few comments on some of my last videos where people were really struggling with their life, and I'm really sorry that, you know, if you're feeling really down, and I will also leave some resources in the description if you feel like you are struggling. Just again, thank you to anyone that's left comments on my other videos, and I hope that you found this video helpful in any way. The reason that I want to do these videos is just for people to come to somewhere, to be able to find content that they can relate to. I feel like there is so much content online where we see people living like extravagant lives, like all these influencers and influencer culture. It's just too much. I really feel like we need to see more relatable content and people speaking about their lives, speaking about the not so desirable aspects of it, I guess, and just being real. Like, it's just nice to have these conversations and to know that there are people out there that are like you, that are going through the same things. And like I say, I'm 27, I still feel like I'm talking about the same things that I was talking about when I was 25. But yeah, life is just about, I guess, like a continual learning, and we're just here to experience life, I guess. So yeah, I hope I made sense. I'm gonna go now, but thank you.